Well, hello. Today's video topic might be a little divisive, and yes, usually I do prefer to just stick reviewing games, but there are some times where some things are happening that involve gaming or nerdiness, and sometimes we just branch out a little bit. And something as of late has come up. I recently have gotten into playing what's called an otome game, which, if you don't know, it's basically like a dating sim that's just more geared towards women because it's usually you got your female character, female insert, or whatever, and all the bachelors are males. And so it's just generally geared more towards straight women. So I have been playing a little game called Love in Deep Space, which has blown up. I believe Asmongold talked about it and actually just said it was like gooner bait, which honestly I didn't watch his video on it, so I won't speak too much. I won't say definitively that that is what he said, but if that is what he said and everything and what people are saying, like, I'm not even exaggerating when that means you clearly didn't play the game, because if you actually sit and go through main story, there's nothing even really explicit at all that happens in main story. What they're talking about is like side content that, yeah, it is big to the game, but in some ways it is arguably side content. But at the same time, like, even if it did have that, even if that the gooner stuff, quote unquote, was in the main game, there actually really is a lot of complex, like, storytelling and world building. Like, there's really a full story going on here. Like, there's something to latch onto with that. But talking about the specifics in that is not the topic of today's video. As you can tell by the title, it's a little bit about gatekeeping, which I decided to just kind of keep it at that to make it nice and simple. But something I have noticed, and a lot of other people on, I'm just going to shorten it to lads, Love in Deep Space, just because it's a lot easier to say that, just lads. And if you like look up lads Twitter and everything, like, that's what they're usually calling it. But there is a lot bigger problem that I think is happening, and I'm not here to give a fully definitive answer on everything. This is all just my thoughts and opinions, my solutions. If you have different, like, opinions or different ideas, or you just think I'm wrong, you can feel free to go ahead and leave in the comments. Like, try to keep it a civil discussion. Yeah, I know it's the internet, that's probably not going to happen, but if there is actually some serious discourse you want to have, go for it. But honestly, there seems to be a big problem with this game of minors downloading it because it is a free-to-play game, while being able to pay real-world money definitely helps out a lot with leveling and, like, achieving the what are called memories and everything. And the memories are where it tends to get a little spicier, but it is a free-to-play game. And the American rating, because this is a game developed, I believe, in China. Yeah, I believe Infold is Chinese. In America, it's rated 12 plus on the app stores. So there's no age restrictions on it. Now, what I will say is, when it comes to visuals, and obviously I have not seen every single thing in the game, but I have seen plenty of, like, because it is a phone game, so of course not everything is animated, but I would say the graphics and everything, when there are animated cutscenes and whatnot, the graphics and all that, character models, they're on level with something like Baldur's Gate 3 or anything on a console. Like, for a phone game, the character models and graphics really go all out. But I will say, while there is nothing I would say that you see that is worse than what you could see on potentially, like, daytime TV or even other games, like, just going back to Baldur's Gate 3, for instance, you can see nudity in that game. You can see, like, full male, full female, front and backside, nudity. Like, that's a thing in those games. Whereas in Lads, you don't really see any nudity. The most you're gonna see is you can see the males. Like, there's one character who he's got a scene where he like steps out of the shower and he's in a towel, and that's like one of the costumes you can get. But that's the closest you get to seeing nudity, is like a towel, and I think there might be them in their underwear or something, but there's really no female nudity, and you don't even see like any of the male guys like butts or anything. And when it comes to when it's animated, when they're getting kind of into it, a little spicy. Like I said, it's nothing that you would see, or like you wouldn't see it. You could see it on daytime TV because it's people, they're kind of making out. They maybe hands start touching legs or whatever. And you can tell when it like does the fade to black. Like, we all know what's happening. But there's no explicit, there's no like ripping clothes off. There's no, you see anything that's like even close really to porn. The biggest thing I would say with this game when it comes to, oh, okay, well, it doesn't seem like there's much of a problem. I mean, if you're just talking about it, like, oh, it's if you would see worse on daytime television, or even, Baldur's Gate, which is appropriately rated M for mature game. The thing with Lads here is, and I'm not going to go too specific into details just because we don't need to talk about that, but if you listen to the audio, for one, when they are doing any of the like makeout or anything, yeah, these voice actors, their heavy breathing is quite, let's just say it, it's definitely pretty erotic, I guess you could say. And like they're putting their all into it, if you will, with the breathing and whatnot. And as for some of the memories where it is just like audio and you don't even see anything, there is apparently, like, I have not unlocked these on my game, but I have seen plenty about them and watched other people's, like, when they did unlock it, and watched their thing of it. And there are things such as, it's pretty, I would say pretty obvious of what's like being described, like not even described, but it's just how the audio one works is there's little descriptions between voice lines, but it's mostly done with just like the male character talking. And from getting context clues and everything, it's pretty obvious that with one, there is dude going down on the main character, and there's another one where it was made apparently very clear that one of the guys was getting off, if you know what I mean, with the main character's body wash. And I do want to stress completely here, everything that does happen in this game, if there is any like, romantic encounters and whatnot, it is all 100% consensual. There is nothing when it comes to the romantic encounters, like, obviously there's some, stuff in main story that happens that it's like, well, that's kind of not cool, but there is no, with the sexual encounters or anything, all of it is 100% consensual. Both the male character that is being romanced and the main character, they both, it's obvious that they are 100% consenting. So I do just want to add that there is no issue in the game of it depicting, like, even being forced to do something you don't, like, the main character doesn't want to do. There's no indication or hinting at all that the main character is being, like, forced or persuaded to do something she wouldn't want to do. So it's not like it's problematic in that kind of way. The problem comes with the fact that while there's nothing, like I said, it's not like you're seeing full-on nudity, but they are getting into, pretty spicy stuff. And I mean, obviously, I think it's pretty obvious that even though this game is getting away with a 12 plus rating simply because there is no like over the top gore, there's no nudity or anything like that, it is a game that is made for adults. All the characters are even adults. They are in their 20s basically, like mid to upper 20s, just to keep it short and simple because there's, lore and everything with it, but they're all 100% adults. It's not really a game made for kids. And there has been a problem of a lot of, because there's no issue with the age rating, a lot of especially younger, like 12 and 13-year-olds, have apparently been downloading this game and deciding to then join online discourse and everything, which is one, a problem in that the fact that you have truly disgusting people who are going to take advantage of the fact that they know minors are playing this game and coming into these fandoms. And there already apparently has been a few like kind of role play accounts on Twitter. I'm just going to call it Twitter. I'm not going to call it X. On Twitter that have been outed as inappropriately talking to minors and everything. So, one, there's already that problem. And now, obviously, while we sadly can't really stop kids from downloading this game, I mean, we're not their parents. You can't sit there and make them not download it. What I will say is, kind of the whole point of this video is I think we need to do a little more gatekeeping in this regard. And this is probably the point where a lot of people might come at me, especially the minors and the like 16-year-olds and, oh, well, I should be allowed. In my opinion, I think what we need to be doing here, because obviously, unless the game rating changes, and even if it does, minors are going to get access to the game. So, while there's not much we can do about that, we need to have more divide on the internet between adults in a fandom and minors in a fandom. And this even just stretches to a lot of things. Because like the whole, it goes both ways, because you have like, and I'm saying for like adults trying to get into things that are clearly made for kids and then coming in these online spaces and invading the area for kids, like just using as a well-known example, basically everybody knows My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. That had a huge problem of, I don't know why, but adult males just really gravitating towards the show. And I will say, of course, there were women who were making it weird too, but let's be real, it was mostly a lot of guys. But creepy ladies, you're not off the chopping block here either. But there was this huge push of these adults coming into the fandom and space of a children's thing and making it uncomfortable, like uncomfortably sexual and everything. Like making weird NSFW art and stories and everything of these characters that are in a children's show. And not really caring if minors were involved or not. So it's like, okay, one, adults need to stay out of that. Now we're having a reverse, and I'm sure this has happened with other stuff too, a reverse issue of kids now trying to come into the adult spaces. And apparently a lot of these kids even are trying to like, oh, you adults need to stop like posting sexual stuff about this game. It's weird and everything. And it's like, well, okay, you're 12 years old and you're playing a game that's a dating sim and it's clearly made for adults. Why are you trying to insert yourself into this adult space? Like, this is not a made for you thing. And when it comes to these like online communities, when these minors are trying to come into these adult spaces and everything, like, honestly, this is where the gatekeeping comes in. Like I said, we got to start blocking them. Because, let's be real, you shouldn't be talking to minors online anyway. Now, I will say, because people, oh, what if you end up in a Call of Duty lobby with a kid and everything, and you're in a match with a kid? Okay, that, I mean, obviously, there's not much you can do about that as long as you're not, you know, I would say as long as you're not then reaching out to the kid and trying to like make a friend request and everything, then, it happens. But I'm talking about these where they're coming into like Twitter and even people who have in their profile, like, and clearly in their name, like, hey, if you are 18 or under, do not interact with this account because and I am posting NSFW stuff. Like, get out of here if you are under 18. This is for adults. And they will still try to come in there and even complain, or they will just be trying to consume this adult content when it's like, no. Okay? And I know people are saying, well, kids are going to learn about all that. Okay. Yeah, kids are like, they're curious. They're going to, end up learning about things like these, adult things, such as whether it's consuming horror media or getting into these like otome dating games where, I'm sure there are others that probably go further than Lads does. But the thing is, it's not our job as random adults on the internet to be making like an approachable space for minors to come in a thing that is not made for them. Does that make sense? Like, and this is all coming from, let me just come at you if you don't know, I'm 29. I'm literally turning 30 next Thursday, so May 22nd. I am turning 30. I have 4 kids. None of them are old enough right now to really be in any kind of gaming scene. My oldest is, like, a little over 4.5, so, none of my kids are getting into this online space or anything yet. They're too young for that. But I still think, and I'm sitting here thinking about when my kids are more grown up. Yeah, it's on the parents, I would say, to one, partly pay attention. Like, don't over micromanage your kid, because when you do that, that can also like have the pushback. You gotta have, like, I would say, a balance. I would say you need the balance of where it's like, hey, I'm watching you, don't go looking that stuff up, but leaving it open to be like, hey, when they do start getting older and they have questions about how that kind of stuff works, obviously as the parent, you should make it known that they are okay and open to come and ask you questions about that stuff before they go searching on the internet to try and find stuff and end up finding a creepy dude who's, in their 30s or 40s or whatever. But, like, honestly, I think we really need to start cracking down on being more aggressive in blocking and kicking these kids out of these spaces. Like, the second it's found out, if you're someone who is on Lad's Twitter a lot, or you're even just an adult in that gaming sphere, and you find out there is someone who is a kid, everybody, like, who's in that tweet interaction, or do people still use Tumblr? I don't know. I think they do. Like, anybody who's on the Tumblr, or if they're in Instagram and you find out they're a minor, like, we need to start blocking and getting these kids out of these adult spaces, because the internet, yeah. I think part of the big problem too as to why kids are trying to get into these adult spaces is, let's be real, there's not really stuff like Club Penguin. I never did Club Penguin, but like Neopets. I was big into that. And those were a lot of more kid-dominated spaces. But part of that problem is too, then you have these adults that then push their way into those kid spaces. So one, adults, y'all need to keep it like between yourselves when it comes to fandoms and stuff, and not in a place where it's easily accessible for kids to find it. And, with stuff like Lads and everything, like, yeah, in my opinion, kids should not be playing this game. If any of my kids were 12 or 13 or whatever, and, I found out they had downloaded this game on their phone, I would be a little like, okay, no, we got to get rid of that. Like I said, there's nothing like nudity wise and everything, but it is clearly in what is implied in a lot of stuff and how the voice acting is done and everything. Like, hey, this is more made for adults. Like, I get if kids, teenagers, you get the 15, 16-year-olds, that they're gonna start being curious about that kind of stuff. But we really need to get cracking down on keeping these kids out of these spaces, because it is just to then creating the problem of when this is open and kids feel like they can go on and interact. It does, and I'm not victim blaming in this, of course, because how is a kid supposed to know when they're talking to someone online that they are any kind of predator or whatever? It's definitely on the predator, but what I'm saying is I feel like it's partly our responsibility to, in blocking them and discouraging them from trying to come into these spaces. Hopefully at that point the chances will lessen a lot, because they're not even finding anywhere to go and talk. Hopefully the chances would then lessen a lot of them coming across a predator who's going to take advantage of them, because it's it's an adult game. It's like, just because it's rated 12 plus, it's only rated that because it's barely squeaking by. And I don't think it's wrong to say that kids need to get out of the adult spaces. Like I said, I'm turning 30, okay? I don't really even understand the appeal. Like, if a 15-year-old is trying to jump in and talk in my conversation, I'd be like, okay, this feels weird to be talking to you. Like, let the adults have their conversation. And it's not even trying to degrade and like demean them, you know? It's more of a minor should not be coming into adults, because adults are going to have a lot more life experiences. Me, as a 29, almost 30-year-old woman, I have a lot more life experience and have probably done more stuff, I guess you could say, than your average 12, 13, 14, 15 year old. And I just say average because, yeah, there's always outliers, so we're just going with averages here, okay? But I'm going to come at a lot of stuff from a very different perspective than a 15-year-old would. And I don't think a 15-year-old really needs to be getting my opinion on stuff, and like stuff such as with Love and Deep Space and everything. Like, you don't really need to be getting how me as a 29-year-old is feeling about this media. Like, when it comes to games and stuff, like, okay, if you're gonna play those games, it is what it is, but go be talking with other minors, or at the very least a more trusted adult, not a bunch of randos on the internet who you don't really have any idea who they are, how much of like they're being honest about who they are, of anything you do know, for instance. Like, we need to be gatekeeping kids out of these places. Just, kids, y'all need to get out of here. I'm talking anyone under 18. Like, you just need to stay out of the adult spaces. I'm sorry that this video is so rambly and everything, but this is just, it's something I wanted to get off my chest, and I've been noticing a lot of. But anyway, I hope you all enjoyed. Like I said, if you have anything to add to this conversation, or hell, maybe you completely 100% disagree with me, go ahead, leave it in the comments. Like I said, try to keep it civil, but hey, it's the internet. I can't stop you if you want to call me stupid. Like, if you're going to call me stupid for my opinion, okay, it is what it is. Feel free to comment it. But if you did enjoy this video and want to see more like this, I don't really do a lot of these kind of more discussion topics as often. Like I said, I usually do video game reviews. I will sometimes branch out with video game reviews of, if it's in, nerdy culture. Like, I have talked about a couple animes. I talked about the FNAF movie. So, it's mostly video games, but I do kind of delve on that stuff. And hey, if you maybe actually want a review or anything on Love and Deep Space, let me know. I wouldn't be against doing that. Not gonna lie, I might just do that anyway, even if nobody asks for it, because I actually really like that game and I have a lot of thoughts and opinions about it. But that video might take a while to make too, because there's a lot. But let's just move on from that. But if you do want to see more videos like this and video game reviews, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I try to upload every Friday. Sometimes it's every other Friday just because life sometimes gets in the way. And when I say gets in the way, it's just the adult responsibilities I chose, you know? My Twitter, Instagram, Discord, second channel, where I am kind of starting to vlog, even though vlogs are few and far between. All of that is linked down below. So is my Twitch. I do plan on getting back to streaming at some point. I think I'm just saying this in every video. I'm beating a dead horse here, but I do want to get back into streaming, just in a period of transitioning with my youngest, who is 5 months old, and figuring out her sleeping schedule and everything. So I will eventually get back into streaming, I promise. But anyway, yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one.